No one felt the moment it happened. Deep beneath continents and oceans, far beyond drills and dreams, the molten heart of the planet lost its fire. The iron core, which had spun and burned for billions of years, slowed, then cooled as if a cosmic hand had turned down the heat. There was no explosion, no quake to announce it. The surface went on breathing, unaware that the engine of the world had begun to fail. The first sign came quietly. Compasses started to drift. Not wildly, just enough that sailors corrected their course twice instead of once. Migratory birds hesitated mid-journey, circling in confusion beneath familiar stars. Scientists blamed instruments, then software, then human error. It took weeks to admit the truth. Earth's magnetic field was weakening. As the core cooled, the invisible shield around the planet thinned. Solar winds pressed closer, brushing the upper atmosphere with growing force. Auroras crept away from the poles, spilling into temperate skies. Cities watched curtains of green and violet light ripple above them, beautiful and ominous as satellites flickered and died in silent streaks. Inside the planet, the consequences deepened. Without the restless churning of heat, tectonic plates slowed. Volcanoes went quiet, one by one, their red mouths sealing shut. Earthquakes became rare, then almost mythical, spoken of like storms from an older age. Mountains stopped rising, the planet, long alive with motion, began to stiffen. The climate followed. With no fresh carbon cycling from the depths, the atmosphere began to change. Winters grew sharper, summers lost their fury. The world cooled not violently but persistently, like a fever breaking in reverse. Glaciers advanced cautiously, testing ground that had been green for generations. Humanity adapted as it always had. Cities hardened their power grids against radiation. Navigation systems were rewritten without magnetism. Farmers adjusted to shorter growing seasons, planting closer to the equator. Children grew up thinking auroras were a normal part of the night sky, not a warning sign written in light. But the strangest change was philosophical. For the first time, Earth felt old. The planet had always seemed eternal, its anger and generosity endless. Now it was clearly finite, a world slowly losing its inner warmth. People spoke of Earth the way they spoke of aging relatives, with tenderness and fear mixed together. The idea of a living planet gave way to that of a cooling relic, drifting through space on borrowed momentum. Oceans responded last. As heat faded from below, deep currents weakened. The great conveyor belts of water slowed, then faltered. Life in the abyss retreated or vanished, unable to survive without the warmth that had seeped from the planet's bones. The surface seas grew quieter, their storms fewer but more deliberate, like thoughts carefully chosen. One night, decades after it began, the auroras dimmed. The sky grew darker than anyone remembered. Above a frozen plain, an old scientist stood with her granddaughter, pointing not at the lights but at their absence. She explained that the core had almost gone still. The child asked if Earth would die. The scientist shook her head. "Not die," she said. "Rest." And perhaps that was the final truth. Earth did not end in fire or fracture. It aged, it cooled. It became something slower, quieter, and more fragile than before. A world no longer driven by a burning heart, but by the careful, fragile lives clinging to its cooling surface, learning at last that even planets are temporary, and that survival, in the end, depends on how gently you treat a world when its warmth begins to fade.